MLS Aces Podcast, episode 211. This is your host, Tom Sweezy, and I am joined by the OG crew, the pre-Vaughn crew. It is Uncle Sam Nelson. It is Jason Vang. Sam, how are you tonight, my good sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, how are you?
You know, no one ever. You guys don't ever ask me how I'm doing. I want to say that.
Sorry.
So.
Ignore my question.
Yeah, stop it, please. Don't worry about
sorry,
me.
I didn't mean to have empathy.
What are you?
What are you, Tom?
What are you? I'm a lot of things.
You're the host of the podcast.
I am the host of the podcast, and Jason, you are the co-host of the podcast. How are you down there, sir?
You know, I'm good. I'm told I can't ask how you are.
No,
right now.
Please don't.
Right.
Please don't.
Yeah, I'm doing well. You know, another Wednesday night for us.
It is. Well, yeah. It's like we
another
went from
Thursday morning
Thursdays.
for everyone else.
Thursdays recording now in 2022. We promised Tuesday recordings. This is a one-off Wednesday recording. We promise we're going to stick to Tuesday recordings as much as possible.
Okay, it's only the second episode of the week.
It's only the second time we're doing this now.
It's cool.
So Tuesday recordings are always going to be it. You're always going to find us live here on Twitch Tuesday nights, talking MLS, talking US soccer. Just be one off. It had to be Wednesday this week. So podcast, Jason, you're right. Podcast will be dropping Thursday morning. The YouTube will be dropping Thursday morning. If you guys are listening and watching now, awesome. You get a sneak peek to it. Awesome, and thank you for watching. But before we dive into the MLS, into the US soccer, into the all that stratosphere, I have to say thank you to our sponsor, Soccer 90. If you guys don't know, soccer90.com is the official sponsor of the MLS Aces podcast. And you guys, you, Sam, Jason, everyone watching, everyone listening, you should make soccer90.com the primary source for all of your Major League Soccer, US national teams, both men and women, international club, all that gear, jerseys, scarves, hats, everything and more. And you, as an MLS Aces podcast, MLS Aces show listener, will receive 25% off of your purchase when you use promo code MLS Aces at checkout. Again, it's promo code MLS Aces, MLS ACES at checkout. Some exclusions may apply. Okay, guys, let's chat soccer. Let's dive into it. Last week on the podcast, Jason, you, me, and Vaughn, we were chatting Daryl Dike going to the championship. We're chatting Ricardo Pepi going to the Bundesliga. I feel like we topped that news this week. And Sam, going back to a previous episode you've done, you and Vaughn, you guys chatted about the heavily rumored Lorenzo Insigne to Toronto FC. Well, it is officially official. Everything is signed. Everything is done and sealed for Toronto FC. Lorenzo Insigne will be joining TFC, will be joining Toronto FC this summer, this July, as a designated player once his contract runs out with Napoli. I mean, if you guys don't know who Lorenzo Insigne is, he's a pretty big deal. Arguably, this will be arguably the greatest signing to ever come to Major League Soccer. A player for his national team, a player in his prime, a European champion, a Coppa Italia champion. Over 400, close to 500 games played in his career, a shit ton of goals. I mean, Jason, I'm going to start with you since a few episodes ago, Sam, you gave your take on Insigne. But Jason, Lorenzo Insigne coming to MLS, what did you make of it when you first heard the rumors, and now that it's official? I mean, what is that in your brain?
I mean, it's massive. Like you said, this has potential to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, signings any MLS team has made. The guy's 30 years old. He's basically still in the prime of his career. He's been killing it. He's played, I don't know, like 400 games for Napoli, right? Something like that. Crazy.
He's the captain for Napoli. I mean, that's a big deal in its own right.
I think he has over 100 goals for them. I mean, this guy is consistent. He's been a top player in the world for a long time. Won the European Championship, like you said, with Italy. So he's no slouch, you know. He's coming in. He's gonna. I don't know. This could rival. You know, they had another Italian player up in Toronto, Giovinco, who had a good career. So this could be potentially just unreal for them, and hopefully he follows in Giovinco's footsteps, if not, surpasses those, which is a really, really high bar. So, I mean, we're talking about, I think he was the MVP of the league at one point. So,
yeah. I look at it like this: of like I very highly doubt Lorenzo Insigne comes into Major League Soccer, comes to Toronto FC, and shits the bed. I can say that like the second half, when he joins the second half of the next season, maybe the numbers and the play isn't there where we expect it to be with the name and the reputation, just because he's going to be coming in late to a team, right? He's not going to really have a relationship with the guys around him in the club, and then he's going to have to leave. Knock on wood, he's still on the Italian national team roster for the World Cup. Knock on wood, Italy makes the World Cup. All of that stuff to go into it. But if that's the case where Italy's in the World Cup, he's involved with that, then he's going to be leaving too, probably close to the end of the season as well. So maybe we don't see what Lorenzo Insigne can bring to Major League Soccer in 2022, but I think sure as shit, come 2023, you're going to see an MVP type campaign out of this guy. And Sam, the reason why I bring up the episode that you and Vaughn did, I think 2 weeks ago now at this point, is because it blew up on our YouTube. People were watching it. People were commenting. It was
my
great.
wife watched it. She also said you have the worst camera of everyone on like a podcast. I was like, how'd you find us? But that's awesome.
Well, outside of those points, many people were commenting, like, because definitely in the notes that I put, and you and Vaughn were talking about the comparison of, is Insigne the biggest MLS signing ever? Again, a guy in his prime, a guy who's primed and a key player in the national team, like where he's coming from, all of that, his reputation and all of that. The only comparison I really thought of, and that's why I put it in the notes, was Carlos Vela, because Vela was coming over from Sociedad, coming over from La Liga in his prime still. He was younger than 30. And the only reason why he really wasn't involved with the Mexican national team was just because Vela and the Mexican FA just butt heads. So that's the only reason why Vela wasn't involved. Otherwise, Vela's at that point was arguably their best player. So I'm going to go back to you, Sam. You've had 2 weeks to think about this. Is Insigne the greatest signing in Major League Soccer history at this point?
So, yes, but no. And here's what I'll say, because I have a yes, but no. It's like that meme with the pirate. Yes, but also no. Yes, in terms of, I think, playing potential, this and like what he's probably going to do on the field. This is probably the biggest signing. This is, a captain of one of the best teams in Italy in his prime, a national team player for one of the best teams in the world in his prime, like coming to MLS, choosing at the end of his contract not to re-sign with the team that he's played with for years. Like it's a big deal. Is it bigger than Beckham? Maybe not, just because in terms of like Beckham was older. Beckham, we all kind of knew. I mean, I don't know. I was probably like 12 when Beckham came over, but Beckham, in hindsight, Beckham was like a move that moved the league forward. Like, I don't know if Insigne is going to move the league forward just by showing up. He's going to move the league forward by playing. Beckham moved MLS into the modern game just by showing up, and he's got a statue for what? Like, I guess Beckham won MLS Cup, didn't he?
I think he won 1 or 2, yeah.
So, all right, fair enough. But I think this is bigger on a playing level. I think Insigne is a bigger get. As a league, Beckham was a bigger move.
And Jason, I'll toss the same question to you because I want to hear your take. Do you agree with Sam in that take, that as far as play on the field, he's the biggest, but maybe not impact to Major League Soccer?
I mean, so I do agree with Sam in the fact that I think Beckham, in terms of what he did for the league and just how much it grew out of that, was pretty massive. Mm-hmm. I think it almost should be looked at as like different eras, right? Like when Beckham came in, it was such a massive move for MLS to get a guy like Beckham, a name like Beckham, who brought so many more eyes. Right now, I think maybe Insigne can be like this MLS era's Beckham type player, where he's a big name who, I mean, we're talking about, this guy is kind of in the prime of his career. He's killing it. He's a really, 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 really good player, high profile player. Plays for Italy. Is he captain Italy? No. Okay. Well, plays for Italy.
Probably Chiellini.
Yeah. Captain's Napoli. Like, this guy is not any other player. I mean, Vela was a big signing, and I think Vela, in terms of what he did on the field, was really great for MLS. Miggy Almiron, another great signing, but when they made the signing, it wasn't as like flashy. I guess it was a big signing, but
Yeah.
not in terms of like Insigne type flashy. But also Almiron really showed up on the field, and he's the highest transfer ever out of MLS. So that's a massive player as well, where I think Insigne has the opportunity to not only be massive coming in, but he can also be such a huge growth spot for this whole league on the field.
If Insigne turns around and he starts attracting other players around his age, their playing ability, like currently, right? Like you're talking like 28 to 30-year-olds who are known globally. You're
talking Messi.
Yeah, you're talking. But
no, we said 28 to 30-year-olds,
not 38. Someone, I don't know, like someone
like Andrea Bellotti.
Yeah, okay, right.
Someone
like
who also is out of contract.
I want Daniel Sturridge.
I'm saying someone who's a known commodity, someone who, you know, you can ask any soccer fan globally, they've heard of him, they know he's good quality, right? If this Insigne move sparks that, right? Like players start deciding to come to MLS a little bit more at a younger age, at a higher talent level. Could that even be compared to like Beckham just making MLS what it is modern day? If this Insigne signing, right, turns into the modern day transition to MLS 4.0 of now we're getting globally renowned names. If that is the case, I think Insigne is arguably, yes. I think he's not arguably. If that is the case, I think Insigne turns into the greatest signing in MLS history. But I think at this point, Sam, I do have to agree with you. I think Beckham, for what he's done for the sustainability of the league, I think he's definitely one. And then Insigne too.
And they created the DP rule for Beckham.
Exactly.
That alone, maybe if Insigne they just
sparks a fourth DP.
We're gonna wash the salary cap away. I'd be like, Insigne, greatest signing in the history of the world.
They should have named the DP after Beckham.
They should have. The
Beckham player.
Designated Beckham player.
Yeah.
It should be the DB spot on your.
I think that Insigne has a huge opportunity, because if he comes in here and he really speaks highly of the league and enjoys the competition, likes it here. I mean, I think it will be a little bit of an adjustment with just the travel alone, and being up in Toronto is pretty cold. But overall, I think if he looks at it, and this guy's, I looked at it, he's like 320 caps for Napoli right now.
He has a lot of playing time.
He's also a voice that like people are gonna respect, and people across the pond, are definitely gonna keep an eye on what he says, because especially in Italy, like, he's a big name. So that, I think, is one of the biggest opportunities for him, where whether or not, his on-field performance is amazing or not, he has the opportunity, just from how big of a player he is, to grow the league, or help grow the league.
And I mean, just to kind of piggyback off that, like, Insigne, like, he's gonna perform on the field. I would put money, if he doesn't perform on the field,
I'd be surprised.
I'll cut a pinky off. Like, I don't know.
Let's not go that far.
That's a dangerous game. It's I don't know. It would be in the most, I think, kind of globally known, like, implosion if Insigne comes to Major League Soccer and he has like one goal in like 30 games from Toronto, and it's just done. But I also think that this, like, in the day of social media, where social media is today, where it connects everyone globally, like, Major League Soccer does something right when you get European fans just chirping all day on social media of why would Insigne sign, like, all that stuff, right? So definitely a good day for Major League Soccer, a good day for us as fans of the league, and good day for Toronto fans, right? If I'm a TFC fan, I'm going hard right now. I'm having a great time.
Good day for Insigne as well, because if he like blows up in America, that's a lot of eyes on him and a lot of marketing ability. So
especially in a pretty major city globally, right? Like
Toronto. But that's the thing.
Toronto's
it's like a lot of
major
players
city.
might be like enticed by just the fact that he could make a lot off of just sponsorships alone by being there.
Yeah. And Sam, you wanted to make one final point about Insigne before we get into anything else.
I'm sure everyone's already seen it now, but I pulled up this article because it's been all over the internet that the president of TFC said that he literally looked up the Italian national team on Transfermarkt and saw which players were coming out of contract.
I could do that.
And that's just it. And it's like, I play Football Manager. I can do that.
Is that how you get Insigne?
He's like, he wrote down Insigne's name because he was on the list of guys. First of all, the Italian national team, that's kind of like a weird, I'm going to go there and look for everyone. But
he probably looked at more. He probably
did, but he got
it. You know what he did? He probably went. Who has won a major tournament in the last decade? And
he just went to the team that won a major tournament and was like, "Who's running out of contract that I can give $12 million a year to?" But
who can I
just thought, it's incredibly, I don't know. I would never admit it. God, I'd never admit that that's how I scouted Insigne. But
I wouldn't either.
That's one way to do
hilarious.
It's hysterical, Sam, because again, you and we play a ton of Football Manager. We know that's how you do it. That's how you find players on a free is when you turn around and you do that. So definitely, pulling the all Football Manager trick there. And if I'm Transfermarkt, that's honestly some of the best publicity ever. A president of a club saying, "I used your website to find my greatest signing."
I just picture him
thanks for updating contracts.
A lot of games for this Napoli team.
Exactly.
Wonder where Napoli is.
Yeah, this guy has no idea about soccer. He's just like, that guy looks good.
Yeah. That's how I play Football Manager.
He would look good in a TFC. He had someone Forrest have a TFC jersey on him. Oh, I like it already.
Look at all these
tattoos. He calls
tattoos.
up Javinko and he was like, Sebastian, do you know this Insigne guy? Yeah, he's good.
He's good? Oh, okay.
There's no way he pronounces it correctly.
There's no way.
No. No, I definitely think Bill Manning's good at his job. I don't want to start that rumor on this.
Well,
podcast.
Clearly he's good at his job. He got Insigne. So
come on.
Whatever.
Let's move on to some more Toronto FC news. Maybe this makes him less good at his job. I don't know. But Toronto FC, they have sold Canadian international, and I considered him a star MLS defender, Richie Laryea, to the EFL Championship, and more specifically, Nottingham Forest. Laryea definitely took off from his time at Toronto for sure. He was probably an below average player on Orlando. He goes to Toronto underneath Greg Vanney and then just kind of skyrockets and accelerates into a well-known commodity around the league. One of the best outside defenders in the league, a Canadian international, right? So he skyrockets during his time at TFC, and apparently he left a deal on the table that would have made him the highest paid defender in Major League Soccer to go and pursue this contract with Nottingham Forest, which is
that's that enticing.
Yeah, look, maybe a shot to grow, just to play in Europe. He's not that young. That's the thing. Richie Laryea has been around for a while, so maybe
he's 27.
Yeah. Before he hits Lorenzo Insigne age and has to come back to MLS.
Gotta go back to TFC.
So I think there's a lot of interesting points here because one, he turns down that huge contract from Toronto. Toronto loses again another defender. They come in, they sign Insigne, but they're just, I feel like Toronto's just burning players left and right.
Can we score more than the opponent?
Can we score 500 goals a game? That is what we need.
It's sir, you're going to be playing attacking players in the back line.
Yes, we are.
Insigne can't play center back.
Bob Bradley can do anything.
Bob Bradley's going to lace up the boots.
Exactly, he's going to have to.
So I guess, Sam, I'll start with you.
Yep.
I thought this was a pretty big move for an MLS offseason, right? Arguably one of the best defenders in the league going to the championship. Toronto FC is going to get money out of this. I haven't seen any reports online of what that return fee looks like, but I guess your thoughts around Laryea going to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, no, Laryea was really good. How long has he been at TFC? Since 2019. Yeah, so he's been great there for at least the past year and a half, 2 years. And honestly, he's fun to watch. And for this past year and a half has really been this mass exodus of MLS, American youngsters, and to a lesser extent, Canadian youngsters. Because Tajon Buchanan solely, moving abroad to Europe. And that's a
Davies.
That was a couple years before. I meant this last big
past
push.
2 years. Got it.
Yeah, like this past couple. Yeah, Alphonso Davies is a lot bigger than anyone else. But but yeah, it's like this mass exodus of young talent, and then like you're like Richie Laryea. He's like, he's got to be pretty young. We were just saying, oh no, he's 27. This is his shot. Like this is his opportunity. And Nottingham Forest, has been on a pretty decent run of form after a really terrible start to the championship season. And give it another year or two, maybe they are punching up the table. Maybe Ethan Horvath plays a game at this point. I don't know. Maybe he does. But I'm happy for Nottingham Forest, and I'm happy for Richie Laryea. I'm less happy that Toronto, I'm not quite sure what they're doing. And I don't know. Bob's got a plan, right? Like Bob wouldn't have let this happen if
you have to think.
Yeah, Bob would have convinced him, I think, if he wasn't like sure he could solve this problem. And I think the way to solve that problem is just Michael Bradley at center back. And that's
just push.
It's going to be it.
Back. That's it.
Just move him back. He'll be back. He knows how to. He's a ball playing center back. I just don't understand it from TFC's point of view. I mean, I guess they literally did all they could. They offered him the biggest contract they could, and he still turned it down. So maybe I'm judging a little too harshly.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you present the guy an amazing contract that no one else in the league has seen, I think that's a pretty
it's a good sign. Yeah,
but if you don't want that and you want your shot to go to Europe, like at least I want a fee for you. Like I want a transfer fee for you. It's pretty much like Absolutely. I think the best you can do. They still do have Kamar Lawrence and Araujo Jr. on their roster, so I still think they do have.
Great.
I mean, it's their capable starting fullbacks in a league that does. There is definitely work.
Well, how old's Kamar Lawrence now? He's got to be like 33,
29.
I was going to say, he's definitely one of those guys that seems like he should be 35. But
oh my gosh, he's been in the league for forever. That's so awesome.
I feel bad because like when Kamar Lawrence went to Anderlecht, I know like we were talking on this podcast of like he's going to kill it. He's one of the best fullbacks in the league, blah, blah, blah. It didn't really work out. Now he's back playing center back last year too with Toronto. Like it was super weird. Like play Kamar Lawrence at left back, play Araujo Jr. at right back. You could be the Fire and have some shitty other fullback options. I love watching.
He just shows up and is like
just nonchalantly here.
The Fire don't even have a team right now. We could use anyone.
You guys have Jason, 6 players.
I miss Mo Adams.
Jason, I'll turn it to you.
He misses Brandon Vincent.
I saw it. I do miss Brandon Vincent. Oh my god.
He misses when Matt Polster was a right back.
Brandon Vincent saw the writing on the wall and he was like, the Fire are so bad. I'm just gonna retire.
He's like, the Fire are gonna be bad in 4 years. And so
he's like, you know what I want to do? Be an accountant or whatever he went to go do.
We're really good at visual memes, obviously, because it's a podcast primarily. You know the meme where he like the guy goes like this and he just fades away.
Oh yeah.
That was Brandon Vincent.
He's got like a soda in his hand.
And he's like, and then just fades.
Brandon Vincent was like, "Oh, that's what you guys are doing this offseason? All right, see ya."
We're gonna never come out of the basement of the Eastern Conference for the next 10 years.
Or it's like that SpongeBob meme where he's like getting out of his chair. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna be out of here."
Yeah, I'm out.
Head up. That's awesome. All
right, so outside of memes, Jason, you have anything to take on Richie Laryea or you want to?
I get this move for Forrest. They're 6 points out of a playoff spot. I don't really get this move from TFC standpoint for kind of what you guys have been saying. And then I don't really get this move from a Richie Laryea standpoint. Like if he really wanted to go to Europe, I guess. But you turned down a lot of money, apparently.
I think it was $950,000 a year.
Yeah, see, you turned down almost $1 million a year. I don't know what he's getting over there, but I don't.
Is he a right back or left back primarily?
Right back.
So he's got to try to compete against Alistair Johnson for the starting right back spot.
Well, he plays like for Canada. He plays everywhere. Like he'll play central midfield for Canada, and
he could get stuck in championship hell over there. That's a rough place to be.
Yeah, but Tim Ream's been in and out, and he's in championship.
Yeah, and how's
hell.
he doing? Huh?
He's fine. He's not even playing, but he makes the U.S. Men's national team. It doesn't matter.
Okay, didn't you get a dog like 2 years ago? Or
That was
shit
Eric.
Like
that was Eric Lehigh.
Oh, fuck.
You got a
That
dog.
was
Why
Eric
would that-
Lehigh,
same
who was
player.
on Nottingham Forest.
Oh man. So yeah, I mean, I just don't get it. I don't really think he should have left. I think he's better off. He's 27. Like he might be back in 2 years.
See,
And we're all going to be like,
And
well, why
he'll
did
have
you
a British
leave? You turned
accent
down-
by then. That's
You turned down $1
fine.
million to go
Yeah.
there, beat yourself up for 40 games a year. 40
On
plus
shit
games a year.
fields, if you believe what Paul
he
Areola
was
said.
he was getting a lot of rumors to Besiktas in the Turkish Super League, and I think because
Interesting.
obviously Atiba Hutchinson has.
I think
a
I
lot
would have
of
liked
pull
that a
around
lot
there.
better.
I mean,
Really?
like Besiktas is like the
Oh.
Canadian like spot in Turkey. I mean, like Kyle Aaron, Atiba Hutchinson. Like
Yeah.
I would have liked seeing Richie Laryea maybe possibly play a little wing back over there too. I don't know, but at the end of the day, Richie Laryea is now a Nottingham Forest member and teammates with our own Ethan Horvath. So maybe they become best friends.
Are
that's
Are
really
we
what
sure
I'm
Nottingham
wondering
Forest
for.
knows Ethan Horvath's on the team?
No,
Maybe.
he played.
Maybe.
He played that one cup game earlier
Yeah,
in September, and that was
huge.
it.
Once.
It was great.
Remember when Ethan Horvath was like, we were saying, "Oh, lock down the third spot." Yeah,
Yeah, because
No, we were
very
saying lock
good
down
at-
the backup spot. we were
We're very
hyped.
good at seeing something and then immediately making full-on takes.
There's something about him at club level versus him at
Yeah.
national team level. It's very different.
He
I
should've
stopped
come
a
to
couple
MLS.
PKs and we all lost our mind. I mean, we
Like,
should have.
there's-
It was a
awesome.
pretty
yeah.
big PK.
It was pretty awesome.
If that is the biggest moment in Ethan Horvath's career, then
That's
I
fine.
love him forever. I love him forever at that. But
I'll
let's-
buy him a
let's-
beer that he won't drink.
Like the Matt Miaz guy, you're too small.
yeah,
Yep,
A-
that's
a
the
Pepsi-
only moment I still got the
Pepsi
picture
Zero.
saved on my phone.
Pepsi Zero.
Let's move forward because we are 27 minutes into the
Oh,
podcast
let's
and
keep
we have
going.
talked about two things. So
And
let's
pretty
keep
much
this
like
thing
one
moving.
team.
Probably yes. This is a big TFC
Rapid
episode.
fire
and
now.
probably the second biggest thing of the week was the MLS Super Draft. Obviously, it is no longer, or I think it hasn't been because of COVID, but it is no longer in a live setting anymore, which I kind of miss. Like MLS, like
It
let's
was
bring
so
that back.
fun in a live
I
setting.
want to like go to the MLS Super Draft as a fan and see it. But the 2022 MLS Super Draft, and I initially wrote these notes expecting Vaughn to be here and just wanting to talk about Charlotte the entire time. So Vaughn, you will get your chance next week to talk all Charlotte news. And sorry, listeners, I know we have a growing listenership in Charlotte and the Carolinas.
we do.
You'll get Vaughn next week. But
I like my
Let's
guy's
talk-
Ben Bender's name. Sounds like a good soccer player.
Maryland
start
boy
with-
Ben Bender.
let's
Maryland's
start with
got
Ben
a good-
Bender.
Good
Let's
track.
start with Ben Bender then. So
Let's do it.
Charlotte FC, number one overall pick because they are the expansion side. Their first ever Super Draft pick is midfielder Ben Bender from the University of Maryland. Super talented player coming out after his sophomore year, central midfielder. From what I've seen, everyone's like he's box to box, but he's a little bit more attacking minded. I don't really know what to believe. I don't watch a ton of college soccer, but I did a shit ton of research into college soccer over the past 2 weeks just to kind of get myself up to speed for the Super Draft. I mean, there's a lot of ties here, right? Charlotte for Vaughn, Sam, he's coming out of Maryland. Like,
Yeah.
There's a lot of ties to this podcast. So all I know is that he may not be a starter for Charlotte, most likely won't be a starter for Charlotte, but he has a lot of potential to be that type of dude that we're talking about, in a few years that Charlotte turned a Super Draft pick into $1 million in GAM or a transfer overseas or whatever it may be. Like everything I'm seeing about this kid is that he's really good and he is going to be a nice depth piece for Charlotte year one. I don't know, Sam, if you've watched much of this kid at Maryland or if you've heard of much of this kid at Maryland, but
I've heard of him, that's for sure. I mean, Maryland's been hyping him up for a while, but as a sophomore too, that makes him what? Like he's probably 19, 20. I don't have the
probably. Yeah.
So he's a young guy coming out of I believe the Baltimore area. So a very good hotbed of talent. I'm just throwing that out there, guys. But yeah, he central midfielder, and what I was reading on MLSsoccer.com, we'll throw that out there, I guess, is that they're really hoping that he can turn into a big threat in the final third, like that he's going to be that kind of offensive minded midfielder for Charlotte. And so he'll probably be a depth piece, or depending on how Charlotte structure the roster, which Vaughn knows a lot better than me, he could be one of those guys like a Robbie Robinson was coming out of Miami for the first season, where you just have this, your number one pick is just in there and you just kind of hope for the best. But I think he'll hold up well. He'll hopefully do well. I want good things for him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if you give him another 2 years and he can kind of develop and get some MLS minutes, I'd like to see it. I think.
Does Charlotte have an MLS Next Pro team or whatever it's called? They have one of those.
Starting? No, that's seen. No, they're starting in 2023, so next season. So I don't know. Maybe they're going to use the Independents as their 2 team. I don't know. Okay,
I was just thinking of like a way to get him minutes, but I want him to be on the team. I want him to be on the first team.
I think
it's a number one pick. You should have him.
Yeah, I think he's one of the few players who should be on an MLS roster. I know, like we obviously get a handful that stay on an MLS roster all year long, but I think he's one of them. Mm-hmm. Jason, you have any Bender takes?
I got takes on a different player.
All right, that's fine. We'll move forward. So pretty much I'm gonna kind of cover the 8 generation Adidas players that were drafted, just for everyone listening and watching. FC Cincinnati at number 2, they took goalkeeper Roman Celentano from in Indiana. That was it. He's coming out after his junior year. A lot of games played, a lot of NCAA games played, arguably from what Matt Doyle was especially saying, the best goalkeeper in college soccer last year, best goalkeeper obviously in this draft. Interesting. I think very dumb move. And again, Cincinnati just making another dumb move. You have a young goalkeeper in Beckham Sunderland who you're developing. He's your first homegrown player ever. Why not keep him as your quote unquote third keeper instead of drafting another young goalkeeper to kind of like go and compete with them? It just doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. But I mean, Jason, you look like you want to say something.
So I kind of want to pair this with the 5th pick.
Go for it.
Because everything I read doing my own little research was that Kipp Keller, who was selected 5th to Austin,
yes,
is an amazing defender and one of the guys that's as close to like a starter or a sure thing as you can get.
Yes.
And for a team that needs defense, I mean, sure, they got Ray Gaddis out of
retirement.
Hold him from retirement.
But like this team has been wooden spoon horribly historically bad at letting in goals.
Yeah.
I don't understand any of this pick because he's on the table. I mean, the fact that he fell to 5th after everything I'd read is kind of
crazy
and amazing for Austin because I think he can come in and help them a lot. But I just don't understand why Cincinnati passed on him because he seems not only is he like everyone's saying one of the better players in this draft, if not the best one.
Yeah.
He is also a really, really big problem spot for Cincinnati. So I don't understand the keeper pick. And I mean, I don't know much about what's his name, Roman Celentano, but
yes.
It just, like you said, it doesn't make sense. If your homegrown player is a goalkeeper, your first ever, like
it's nuts.
What are you doing? It's not helping your team unless you're trying to transfer him or something, or throw him in MLS Next and just wait.
And he's not likely to be a starter. He's not going to be their starter this year.
I think Kipp Keller could have come in and actually played some solid minutes. You could have had a
starting center back.
So I think, Jason, that's an absolutely perfect point. Let's jump around a little bit with the Super Draft. Kipp Keller, everyone said, many people said, best player in this draft. He is one of the few players you see that come right out of college soccer and start in Major League Soccer. Like that's how good this kid is. A lot of comparisons to Walker Zimmerman too. Yeah.
To be fair to Charlotte, like Ben Bender's also really good from like prospect.
Yes.
For a new team like them, he might help them, and that's still a really good pick. But for a team like Cincinnati, who's just historically bad on defense, like this is a no-brainer. It just it's a no-brainer pick.
Yeah.
So and like you said, the Walker Zimmerman comparison has actually like been thrown around a lot.
From what Vaughn was telling me is that apparently last week, Kipp Keller was on the table for Charlotte to be selected number 1. But after they acquired Christian McCone from Inter Miami, kind of the need for
Makes
center
sense,
back
yeah.
went away. So they
have a
went
lot
with
of center
Bender.
backs.
Well,
So,
and they're building a whole
get
new
it.
team. Like they basically any area, any player, and if they see an upside in Ben Bender, then yeah, go for that. But
Yeah,
for a team like
100%.
Charlotte, just doesn't make sense. You're not
And
building a new team. Maybe they should.
What you were saying, Jason, in Cincinnati passing up on Kipp Keller, on Dallas and Houston, I'll throw them in the same bucket, passing
yeah,
up on
they
Kip Keller.
deserve to be in that bucket.
I was gonna say
Like-
nuts.
Like, how do you miss out on this kid that everyone's hyping up? Everyone's saying was the best defender in college soccer. Everyone's saying could walk into an MLS roster and be a talented piece to it. And look, Austin FC needed defensive help, and they went out and they got probably the cheapest way to get defensive help.
I'm
in.
quite
Completely
upset
free.
that the Fire had the 4th pick and sold it and missed out on Kipp
Yeah,
Keller.
right.
So, Sam, I'm going to turn it to you. Anything on Celentano or
No.
Kipp Keller before we get to the other few Generation Adidas
Well,
picks?
Yeah, so look, Celentano is a really good goalkeeper. He is not walking into Cincinnati's team when Kenneth Vermeer is there.
He's in a
Like,
real
he's
shit
just not.
situation now.
He really
he's in,
got
limbo.
He got boned. Like, it's really shitty. Like,
Yeah.
he could go to Dallas and probably, compete for second string minutes. He could walk into Houston, probably walk into second string minutes. He got drafted by the worst team for a goalkeeper to be drafted by that early.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I feel for him, and like I hope the best, but it's just a weird situation.
It's one of those situations where like it could completely like change the course of what his career could have been.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, and I hope the best for him because he really is a good goalkeeper.
He's very good.
As for
He's a
Kipp
big kid.
Keller,
Well, I hope all these
Yeah.
kids do great, right? Like,
Bro,
feel
I
like we all
love-
really want
I
them all to do
love the
well.
Super Draft, man. I hope all these kids kill it. I want the college soccer pipeline to keep going forever.
Keep it churning.
Keep it trying.
Sam, you were going on Kipp Keller?
Yeah, it's Kipp Keller, man. Like you guys have already said. Like,
Great name.
First
There's
of
a
all,
lot
great
of good
name. Like,
names
I
in
would,
this draft.
if I could get
Bender,
like a jersey that said like just Kip on the back, I'd be hyped.
mine's
kinda
gonna
sick.
say
Hope-
alliteration.
alliteration. Kipp Keller, Ben Bender. Yeah. But I mean, Austin lucked out. I don't know what Dallas and Houston are thinking either, but
Austin was probably
Austin
like, "What the fuck?"
lucked. And they're just
How
like,
did we
well,
get
yeah,
this?
of course we're
Fell
gonna
into my
take
lap.
him. Like, yeah, unless something
Yeah.
like really crazy happened at the combine that no one else is aware of, this just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Unless he has like
Look,
back issues or something. Like,
Right, which
This
I
is one of the
doubt,
moves
like-
where it's like Austin's probably like, we are gonna take him.
Right.
Why hasn't anyone else?
Well, I
Like,
feel like
so
Austin was
strange.
probably not even thinking about him because of how great he was. They were probably like, "Oh, he's gone."
Yeah.
he was
then when
probably
he
up
fell,
there
they were
on
like,
the-
"Wait,
yeah.
wait a second."
Yeah, they were probably like, we're not even gonna get this guy. Fuck,
Like, there's no way.
way.
They were like, oh, we're gonna draft this guy Thor or whatever. And then Houston took him, and they're like, shit,
Fire totally could have used
who do we
him.
get? Could have used him.
I have to
Could
give
have
a
used
ton
Kip
of
or could have used
credit.
Thor.
Could have used
Yeah.
anyone.
That's a good point.
I-
You could use anyone.
I have to give a
Except
ton
for
of
a
credit
keeper, actually.
to St. Louis University or University of St. Louis. I apologize, whichever way it is.
St.
But
Louis
Louis
SLU.
University.
a
Yeah.
ton of Generation Adidas players coming out of St. Louis, and a ton of draft picks coming out of St. Louis because
They're an
they
amazing
also-
college team.
They apparently they are. They got the number 3 overall pick as well. FC Dallas selected winger Isaiah Parker from St. Louis. I don't have much on him, but I do know that Dallas did need some winger help. So sure, if the kid works out, he's really young too. He's coming out after his freshman year, so he's either 18, 19 years
I
old.
feel like Dallas
So-
operates so completely different than a typical MLS team. So
Yeah. And I will say Dallas,
they have a
has an eye
fuckload of
for-
money too.
for young talent too, So maybe this Parker kid might be pretty good.
They're just playing with house money at this point. They're like, all right, okay, another one.
Oh, yeah.
Develop another 20
Yeah,
million.
they're, all right, go
dollars
over
in a
here, become amazing, and then before you play, 20 games for us, we'll just ship you over to
Just
Europe.
sell you.
Play in North Texas for a year. Come up, play for us, do great. $30 million. That's it. That's the formula.
They're like, he might play 10 games for us.
Maybe we'll never win MLS Cup, but shit, we'll be rich. The number 4 pick, Sam, you already mentioned him a little bit, but I do want to kind of talk about him a little bit. Houston Dynamo at 4 selecting Thor Farson from Duke University.
Oh, man.
First of all, shout out to David Goss for giving this little tidbit fact that he's the first ever Icelandic player selected in the MLS Super Draft history.
It's pretty sick. Cool. Yeah.
But everyone
also that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's probably not a lot of Icelandic kids coming over for college. This kid's a baller. Like, this dude knows really how to put the ball in the back of the fucking net. And I forgot he was the one that was on that Duke video that went viral after they scored the goal, and he went up to the goalkeeper.
Because he's crazy too. Like,
I love it. I love it. I want to see this dude banging in like 20 goals a season for Houston. Like, I want to see him just be so good. Yeah, I want him to talk shit. I want him to be banging in goals. Like, I want this guy to be like top talent.
He's gonna do it.
Throw a ball in the stands.
Throw a ball in the stands and just see what happens. I think he's gonna do well. The thing is, like, I was listening to Extra Time and they were talking about how he's probably one of the most MLS ready players, like, that's gonna surprise you.
Yeah.
And Houston doesn't have a lot of attacking options. Like, you just alluded to notes, but Corey Baird and someone else.
Yeah.
So, and that guy I don't know from Houston because I don't watch them. But Corey Baird and then Thor, like, that's
Corey Baird. Man,
hopefully he plays good
at this point.
He is at this point. But he'll probably do well, and they need him. Yeah, that's it.
I might be the only one who's just always optimistic about Corey Baird, and he fails every time.
I've never met someone who loves Corey Baird as much as you do, Jason.
What happened with Corey Baird in LA?
I feel like he's so much better than his typical performance. He's good.
He's never really done it, but okay.
Yeah.
Just wait. He's gonna have a breakout season at 33.
Houston is winning MLS Cup. Corey Baird is the next Chris Wondolowski. Out of nowhere, just a shit ton of goals. That's it.
Could you imagine if that actually happened? And
that's
I was
so
right.
awesome.
All right,
I'll give you $2.
Oh,
2 of them.
I'll take it.
All right.
I'll move forward. At number 8, San Jose, they were able to grab a Generation Adidas player for themselves in forward Useni Buddha from Stanford. This kid just had a really cool backstory. I'm really just glad to see him get drafted and
might be the oldest one in the draft.
Yeah, I know. I think that was possibly it as well. But he's joining again a roster where he could possibly, if he performs, if he impresses, get minutes. The only other wingers on that roster are Cade Cowell, Christian Espinoza, and Siad Haji. And I know Siad Haji's young, like, he could get minutes himself, but like, I think this could be a chance where if Buddha can impress Almeida, he could possibly be that third winger right now if we're looking at the roster to get minutes. So another spot where a Generation Adidas player could possibly come in and stay on an MLS roster. And I like that. So definitely want to give Buddha some shout out. You guys have any Buddha takes before we go into the next one?
Yeah,
I do not.
At number 12, Columbus Crew, they selected the other Generation Adidas goalkeeper and Patrick Schlup from St. Louis. Again, another St. Louis product who gets selected. So again, shout out to whatever they're fucking doing. I don't have much here. He's probably going to be the third goalkeeper on the roster behind Room and Evan Bush. So that's
I just see a note that says other goalkeepers on roster. Eli Room and Evan Bush. I'm like, so he's not.
So he's getting loaned to US.
Yeah.
Sorry, MLS Pro.
Go Billikens, isn't that's St. Louis is like they're putting in the work. They've got a really good.
I don't know what a Billiken is.
I've been down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went down there. Remember when we had that like total eclipse?
Oh yeah.
That was like 20 minutes south of there was like one of the zones. That was like
that's cool.
Complete. So
I
drove down there. It's quite fun. Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like it's like a ghost.
No, it's a pelican.
I don't know. No, I don't think it is.
Okay.
A Billiken is a mythical good luck figure who represents things as they ought
like a
to
leprechaun.
be. You're welcome.
So We should just call him Kipp Keller because he's going to be good luck for all.
He's good as I want him to be. Kipp Keller.
The last draft pick we'll talk about, and listeners, I know this has gone off the rails because you can tell how much we love the Super Draft.
45 minutes.
At 19, Atlanta United, they were able to sign a Generation Adidas player, which I think many people were surprised about, in all honesty, that at 19, they were able to sign a dude who's going to be pretty much a free space on their roster and could be a talent. You don't know. But they signed defender Eric Centurno from Pacific, primarily playing as a right back. And again, I think a really good fit. Honestly, I think out of all the Generation Adidas players, the only one that got fucked was Roman Celentano for Cincinnati.
No, he's right. No,
because look, Centurno comes to Atlanta. He has one other right back on the roster in Brooks Lennon.
Yeah.
Sure, like I can see him playing a ton of minutes for Atlanta United too in the USL Championship this upcoming year. But like if he's the only other right back on the roster, then I mean like that he's in a good spot. And even if he's not, fine, he goes to Atlanta 2 for a year and whatever it may be. But I just think solid draft from everybody but FC Cincinnati.
I mean, if you're a Generation Adidas player, like I was just looking at the list earlier today, there's a pretty good track record where you might be a stud. Like
you're a decent talent.
Out of the
they
8,
sign you early.
Saying 4 are going to be solid MLS players isn't crazy, and getting one at 19 is like
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's very that's a great spot to get a guy that has a high potential. He's young. They can bring him in, get him involved in the system.
Yeah,
you never know. I mean, he might be the best one out of the group. Probably not.
And he's coming out after his freshman year. I mean, we're a big Kipp Keller podcast. All right, let's dive into the rest.
Quick, I got one thing real quick.
That's 5th pick, Kipp Keller.
Red Bulls traded up for the 7th pick to draft a 6'8" center back from the Navy Academy, which is nuts.
Wait, is he the one that might? Oh no, that's someone got drafted from the Air Force.
Yeah, he got drafted by Atlanta,
and he might have to do service or something.
Yeah, because they'll both still have to do service because they signed their commitments to
unless they get
serve
a
the
waiver,
military, which they probably will get a waiver the same way baseball and football do, and they'll be able to do administrative work and still play. But it's pretty crazy that they went
6'8".
They spent $200K in GAM to sign
get
them.
A monster. Matt Nokita.
They spent $200K to move up. I'm pretty sure the Fire dropped from the 4th pick for less money than that.
DC dropped from 13 to 2nd round.
We dropped from 4th to 11 for 150.
Yeah, shit.
Philadelphia doesn't believe in the Super Draft. So
Philadelphia has an academy worth a damn, honestly.
FC Dallas tries.
What do they care?
Red Bulls try. All right, let's steer away from the Super Draft and let's talk about the other moves going around about MLS. We have 11 minutes to chat about the rest of this. So another well-known MLS player, another well-known USMNT player is leaving Major League Soccer, heading to the Scottish Premier League. NYCFC have loaned defensive midfielder James Sands to Rangers in the SPL for an 18-month loan with an option to buy. If you guys aren't familiar with James Sands, obviously got some recent caps for the USMNT this summer. Clubs is NYCFC's first ever homegrown signing. Obviously won MLS Cup with Sands and was an MLS All-Star. Wasn't one MLS Cup with NYCFC and was an MLS All-Star with NYCFC. As the resident NYCFC fan, I will ignore what I'm wearing. I will take that first. It really sucks to see, especially when you see DK, Pepe, and all these guys going. Then it's James Sands is up next, 18-month loan. I hate that. First of all, I mean, we've had this argument on the podcast. We've had this conversation.
Yeah, I was waiting for this
about the SPL.
Bring it on, baby.
Don't love that he's going to the Scottish Premier League, but whatever.
He's going to the best team in the Scottish Premier League, though.
I'm not here to have that argument. I'm just saying I don't love it personally as a fan. We can talk about that offline or go back and find that episode if you want to hear us talk about it.
Yeah, because we're going to go way past 10 more minutes.
Yeah, we will.
He is going to a very good Scottish Premier League team, right? He's going to one of the best two historically and the best.
Really, the only two
currently.
teams in the league.
Yep.
You know, pretty much.
One of them.
Yep.
But he's going to get European minutes, right? Whether he is playing in Champions League or whether he is playing in Europa League for the most part. So I am happy about that he's going to get tested at a higher level. I just want to see this again, the same way I talked about Mueller, the same way I talked about anyone else going to the SPL. I want to see them use this as a springboard to make the next step in their career, wherever that may be. I don't want
that good. It's not a big
James
track
Sands?
record for that. No,
Sands?
for like going to the Scottish Premier
yeah.
League and using it as a springboard. It just doesn't.
Like but this is the same way I want to say for Chris Mueller. I want to see them like sell for 12 to 18 months, right? If that's the
Pulido, what he did.
Yeah, exactly. Go to the championship. Go to the low-end Premier League.
Well, it can be the Scottish Premier League, but if you perform like DK did in the championship, that's what brings people. It's about the performances more than it is about the specific league.
I'm saying perform in the Scottish Premier League, then make that jump to the championship, then make that jump to the Bundesliga, wherever you want to go, right? So I have high hopes for James Sands because I think he's an easy starter on this team. I think he could be the long-term backup defensive midfielder to Tyler Adams too for the national team. So I have a lot of hopes for James Sands. I don't fully hate the move. I just wish it was a little different. I just don't like the loan. I don't like.
You just wish that they bought him outright.
Yeah, if they bought him outright, I'd feel better, I guess.
Okay. You don't like the technicalities of that.
I feel like with a loan from a homegrown MLS player, it's almost like it feels like the team that's getting the player isn't fully sold on the player.
Yeah.
And that's why they do that loan, and then it's kind of awkward.
And I also get it, like NYCFC's never sold a player before. Well, Jack Harrison, I guess, is the only sale, but you sold him to Manchester City, technically, right? So, like, NYCFC's never had like a true like one-off sale to an independent club that they aren't owned by. So you do have to set the record straight somewhere. I just hope that when the time comes and NYCFC does eventually sell James Sands, it is for a fee that we are seeing from others around the league. It's not going to be 20 million, but I'm hoping like that 8 to 10 mark is somewhere there for James Sands. Just all I hope. You guys have any Sands points before I run through the rest of these notes?
No.
I think it's a good move for good playing time.
You just like the Scottish Premier League.
I love the Scottish Premier League.
I like Scotland.
Scotland golf.
There you
go.
Golf's a fun sport.
The other major news and notes from around the league that I want to get to. First of all, Alan Pulido came out today that he is most likely going to be out for the entire 2022 season. And I do wish we had Vaughn here to chat about this because he is SKC's record signing. He's 30 right now, turning 31 this year. So we're not going to see him in Major League Soccer potentially until he's 32 years old. Like he scored for Sporting Kansas City. He's done well. I just don't know if he's lived up to that DP hype and record signing hype that he kind of came in with. So it sucks to see an injury though, just because, he will miss a World Cup. He will miss another league season. So sucks to see it. Sorry for that, Alan Pulido, but have to obviously make sure everyone knows about that. Jason, we're going to go to a point you said before. FC Cincinnati, Chris Albright, Pat Noonan, pull Ray Gaddis out of retirement FC. So, I mean, you wanted to chat about Gaddis. So let me hear what you have.
So he's 31, right? And he's not even that old.
No.
And he's being pulled out of retirement. Like, the more I look into it, the more it makes sense because, like, these are his coaches, basically. Like, of course, it feels weird.
And former teammate.
Yeah, if I was a Philly fan, though, if I was a Philly fan, I'd be, like, kind of salty.
We had, like, a big R.I.P. Ray Gaddis podcast about this.
Because he was the one club man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it was.
It was a big 30-minute point on that, and now he's going back out of retirement. I'm insulted.
It's weird. Also, like, he retired. Like, is he in shape?
I assume they wouldn't have signed
Cincinnati.
him.
Like, he could maybe help Cincinnati just from a leadership perspective. And I mean, he's a solid player. He's like an Iron Man in MLS. But I just, what I would have liked to see? Kipp Keller alongside him.
would be smart, right? No, I think
100% Kipp Keller.
you're right though,
Cincinnati.
Jason. Like
It just
if
is
you're
weird.
if I think I do like what Albright and Noonan are doing and trying to be proactive and locking down a historically awful defense year after year. So you bring in a guy who historically is maybe the most steady player at his position over his entire career to come start for you. I love it. Go do that. Bring in Gaddis. You have Ronald Matarrita on the other side. You
I wonder
sign
what they
John
paid him.
Nelson. We'll probably once the salaries drop,
True.
we'll find it. But you're signing players to lock down the defense. I like it. You just haven't done enough, in my opinion. You got to keep going, and I understand it could be more than one season to do this. Like you got to give them time, but you're starting to go in the right direction. Just keep it going. That's all.
I mean, pulling Ray Gaddis. I mean, I think it's like a 4-year deal too. So, but pulling him out of I think it's set to like 2026 or something.
Damn.
But
that's nuts.
I don't think he's like the impact game changer that Cincinnati needs as a defender.
But does Cincinnati need an impact game changer, or does Cincinnati need a solid piece that they know what they're going to get game in and game out that is capable of winning games?
All the above.
Guy who can stop the ball before it gets in the net.
Option C, those steady players with the game
same
changer.
thing, like if Ray Gaddis, like he's getting older. Like he's not getting any younger.
He's 31. He can play.
He's 31. He could get a solid 5 more years, maybe longer.
You can throw.
I wouldn't have signed him to that. That's a long.
I'm saying in 2020, in 2021, 2022, and 2023, you could throw Ray Gaddis at right back for any club in Major League Soccer, and he is going to do a good enough job where if he is the worst piece on your roster, you are doing something fantastic. That's all.
He's like maybe the best piece on their roster at the moment.
No. Remember?
He's at least their best defensive piece.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Cantalino. What? I don't know.
What?
Nope.
Okay. Nope. Could have been Kipp Keller. Could have been Kipp Keller.
Could have been. You know what? And it would have been amazing. Kipp Keller learning from Ray Gaddis.
This might be the longest running joke we have on the podcast because I know I'm going to want to bring this up.
It's a Kipp Keller podcast, like I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's a friend of the pod.
Wait, so are we all on board like Austin at this point, or are we just all about him? Like
him.
No, him.
Yeah.
No, just him.
Him, but like I'm gonna start watching Austin games.
No, yeah, we'll watch the games, but just root for one player.
I want to see Austin
nice
Stadium
jersey.
just going green and black because Kipp Keller headed home a goal. That's what I want to see.
I'm going to root for Austin as much as I root for Chelsea, only because seeing Pulisic. Like I don't root for Chelsea. I root for Pulisic to do well. I'd rather Chelsea lose 10-1. If Pulisic
scored that goal.
Yeah. I don't care if Juventus wins, but Weston McKennie heads home a ball today, and I will go nuts.
Juventus wins.
Absolutely.
Bobbity boop that shit, Weston.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not a Harry Potter fan.
Bobbity boop that shit.
We need to get Kipp Keller. Can we just spam Kipp Keller and hope he comes on?
Hey, you want to reach out to him? I've pissed off enough MLS players in my time on social media. All right, next, Columbus Crew. They have traded $450,000. They've traded for $450,000 in general allocation money, and in return, they sent center back Aboubacar Keita to the Colorado Rapids. Obviously, I think, Sam, when we were covering the U20 World Cup, that seems like ages ago on this podcast when we chatted about that.
Been a bit.
Keita was, I think, arguably the best center back on the team, all this stuff, whatever it may be. But since then, he's won MLS Cup with the Crew. He's won a Campeones Cup with the Crew. 45 games total in his club career. Now he's going over to Colorado. That obviously they're playing that 3-man back under Robin Fraser. And they have a lot of talent, a lot of depth, like a very weird, strange, like polar opposite of like super young talent, and then like Drew Moore.
Drew Moore is just such an outlier. He's such an outlier, and I love it.
So, Sam, I'll start with you if you have anything you want to say on Aboubacar Keita, or I guess Colorado's kind of center back roster situation.
No, I think it's a really good move for Colorado. It's kind of tough for Columbus. Like he was a really good center back for them for years, and or I guess year.
He's really young. He's like 21.
I know he's super young, but Oh, he's
Yeah,
super
there's
good.
a
Now
lot
he's
to grow.
going to
Another one of those guys we're going to look at in like 6 years and be like, he's only 27.
That's right.
he's Sam's
for
like
Colorado.
he's 52. I don't know.
That dude's like 60. What are you guys talking about? I'm really bad at judging ages based on looking at someone, so that doesn't help. But hey, guys, what was that thing I kept complaining about for Colorado last year that didn't end up mattering? Depth.
Yeah.
Look what Colorado has at center back. Insane depth. Like,
Yeah.
that's really.
And
I'd be really happy with that depth. Like,
and they play the
not bad.
formation where they need the most depth at center back. So,
Yeah.
there
So
you go.
that's good. I think it's a good move.
So, Jason, I'll turn it to you. I know you're the one that wanted to talk about Trusty. Sorry, not Trusty. Aboubacar
I do
Keita
want to talk about
going
Trusty. It's actually part of my thought process.
Trusty's the GOAT.
And I know where you're going to go with it, so I want to talk about Trusty too.
I
So
really
we'll
like
go
this
for it.
move, and I think he's a very solid center back. Aboubacar Keita, like adding this depth is awesome, but I almost feel like they think Trusty's not making it through the season, like he's going abroad or something.
I will interrupt quickly with that. Heavy reports that Austin Trusty might be gone before the season begins, my friend.
Really?
See, when they made this move, my initial reaction was Trusty's gone. Like it just makes logical sense. They want a guy who can come in and fill that role a little bit, keep that depth. Like if Trusty leaves, they're making a lot of money, and they already filled the hole. He's leaving.
Yeah,
not entirely, obviously. Trusty's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, he's not Trusty level, but yes.
But they have
he can grow into
come in. They have a backbone where like Trusty's probably the biggest name on that team and the most likely to be gone. And like you said, I mean, there's already rumors about it. So that's I think why they made this move, and I think it's really, really good business from Colorado getting ahead of that.
I think you're right, Jason. Like if you look at it, the best point of view, best outcome for the entire 2022 season, you have a back three of Austin Trusty, Wallace Aboubacar Keita. Behind them, you have Danny Wilson, Drew Moore, and then Michael Edwards if he doesn't get loaned out. If the worst case scenario, you have Austin Trusty you sell for a crap ton of money, most likely. Then you have a back three of Wallace Aboubacar Keita, and Danny Williams. Like, still very good, right? Like two of those guys were your starting center backs last year. So,
and once the Keita is not bad. I mean, he's a solid player. He's won pretty massive trophies with Columbus, and he's been a consistent player. Worst case, like you're saying, or best case, if they keep Trusty, you're bringing up a guy who's probably off the bench as a sub or someone to spot starter to give rest, and he's a guy that you'd love for that, right? Like that's a phenomenal starter in situations.
All I know is that Columbus better spend that $450,000, sign a center back, because they got two on the roster. That's all I know, and that's what I'll leave that off there. Sam, Diego Valeri, he is reportedly leaving Portland. We freaked out after MLS Cup that, Valeri's retiring, he's done, blah, 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 all that stuff. Apparently, he's not leaving Portland that way. And there is a deal that Portland will be selling Valeri to his boyhood club, Lanús,
I think.
Lanús, okay. In Argentina. So he came up through Lanús's, I apologize, he came up through their academy, played there before coming to Portland. So, Sam, you wanted to bring up Valeri, so...
Yeah, so I love Diego Valeri, and I hate Portland as like a team. So
same. Wait,
what? So like Diego Valeri is one of my favorite players to ever play in MLS, and I think he's one of the best midfielders to ever play in MLS. He's a really good leader. He's amazing on the ball, and God, his passes are good. I think it's a shame that we're going to see the end of Diego Valeri, and I just wanted to point out that if he is going to go back to his boyhood club, that is the most beautiful, poetic ending to Diego Valeri in MLS. But I will miss him, and that is a shame.
I can agree. That might be the most beautiful ending. I still want to see a wooden trophy of Diego Valeri outside of the Timber Stadium.
Absolutely.
It has to be in wood, and Timber Jason has to go carve it. Let's move on. The
Oh,
you know,
God.
I'm gonna skip over. I'm gonna
Look
skip
like
over this
Cristiano
next
Ronaldo.
point.
Yeah, skip over how Miami sucks. Like it's fine.
Miami's starting
Yeah.
over. Okay, that's all everyone needs to know.
God,
Again,
Gonzalez
Miami.
Perez
Newest expansion
blown
team,
down.
Inter Miami, starting this year.
Exactly.
Sure feels that
Miami's
way.
still deconstructing their roster, getting rid of every person on their roster, pretty much with a high salary. The big news:
Oh,
LGP
Shawcross
Leandro
retired. I didn't know that.
Gonzalez Perez loaned to River Plate. Ryan Shawcross retired. Rumors
That's
Nico
right, good.
Figal are going to go on loan next. And again, we mentioned it before quickly. Christian McCone traded to Charlotte FC. So that was it. That's all you're getting with Miami talk this week, folks.
Good.
New ownership at RSL. That's pretty big news. Don't have too much to dive in here, but just want to let the RSL faithful know that we are aware, and congratulations. New owners are David Blitzer, Ryan Smith, and Dwayne Wade. That one came out of nowhere until I looked into the situation more. Obviously, Wade is the most famous former NBA champions, superstar, all that stuff, but Wade is a partial owner of the Utah Jazz in the NBA. Didn't know that, but there's
Didn't know that.
connection. The majority owner of the Utah Jazz is Ryan Smith, who is one of the other owners that bought out RSL. The most interesting one here to me is David Blitzer, who's coming in, who's buying the club. He already has prior soccer team ownership of Crystal Palace in the Premier League, FC Augsburg in the Bundesliga, and AD Alcorcón in the Segunda Division in Spain. He also has partial ownership of the Philadelphia 76ers and New Jersey Devils.
Guy collects teams like they're Infinity Stones.
Yeah, the guy.
I've listened to him talk.
Like
though he loves
NFTs.
soccer, like NFTs.
Yeah.
He's really smart, and he's a huge analytics guy. Like he's
So
really interested to
that.
hear.
Would
Take
he have
that, take
drafted
young-
Kipp Keller?
He would have drafted Kipp Keller because he knows how analytics work.
Dwayne Wade is a big
You're
Kipp
welcome.
Keller guy. Okay, you stop that.
Easily.
So yeah, you take a dude who knows soccer ownership, who's apparently a big analytics guy. You take Ryan Smith, who's a super young, billionaire dude who's the owner of an NBA team. He's at courtside, like super young guy, right? I think he's like in his 40s. And then you take Dwayne Wade, who's a pretty notable name. I think RSL's in some good hands. Everyone's saying, when are we getting the rebrand of the logo? I'm kind of on that train too. I want to see it, but
Can we get the
Dwayne
Royals
Wade
back?
guy?
Can we get the Utah Royals back?
yeah, coming from Chicago.
Oh
Jason.
yeah, the Utah.
Who's
Actually, is this the same guys who said Utah Royals? They're trying to potentially bring them back.
Yeah, so
I
I
would
think
love
they got
that.
the ownership, or they're in negotiations for the
I think
ownership
they
of
are.
the Royals name
That's
as
awesome.
well. So
I
that would be
loved
cool.
that
would be
Utah
cool.
Royals logo too. That was so cool.
Yes,
I miss them.
I miss the Royals.
The last two moves I'll quickly mention. If you guys have anything you want to say, like just interrupt me, please, and then we'll finish things out for tonight. St. Louis City SC, the team coming into the season starting in 2023. They have already hired their first manager in club history in Bradley Carnell. Carnell began his coaching career as an assistant manager in South Africa with the FS Stars and Orlando Pirates, those famous Orlando Pirates that everyone loves. Then he came to the United States. He has been an assistant manager with the New York Red Bulls since 2017. He did have a few game stint there for the Red Bulls where he was an interim manager. He went 6-3-5 in his 14 games as
It's not bad.
caretaker. So a lot of people around the Red Bull community that I know, that we know, have had so many positive things to say about Carnell, and they were hoping he would be taking over as the new Red Bull 2 manager. Unfortunately for them, fortunately for him, he's getting more of a promotion, more of an upgrade, and he's taken over as for an MLS club starting in 2023. So congratulations to Carnell there. The only other piece, St. Louis. Do we care?
Yeah, nah.
Not yet. We don't care
for
yet.
him. Like, and I like when
It's good for
assistants
him.
get promoted like that.
Yeah.
True. Except for if you're Pat Noonan and you didn't select Kipp Keller. That's the only time we don't like it.
Actually, also, anyone who doesn't select Kipp Keller, you know what? Even people after Kipp Keller was selected, I'm still upset.
Wait, so are we
Could've
mad at
traded up.
Charlotte then too, or are we not mad at Charlotte?
No,
'Cause
no,
you
no,
like
Charlotte
Ben
we get.
Bender.
No,
Charlotte
Charlotte we
We're
get
cool.
because
We get that one.
yeah, they're starting
Two
fresh.
down.
They need
So
they need
from
way
two
more than
back.
one player.
Yeah.
From 2 until the end of the third round of the Super Draft.
Ridiculous.
Everyone made a mistake. Somehow.
Whoever wins MLS Cup next year also gets a pass because they obviously didn't need him.
What if it's Austin?
Unless it's Austin.
Well, then
Yeah.
everyone's fine. Everyone just gets out of the league, bro.
Austin wins the league forever. That's
If
it.
Austin wins the league and Kipp Keller plays a big role, I will lose my mind at this
This
point.
is the Kipp Keller podcast. Just so you guys
Starring
know.
not Kipp Keller.
We're gonna get him on. We're gonna get him on.
Oh,
It's like, if we say his name enough, maybe he'll pop up.
Maybe he'll show up.
someone's gonna be like, "Yo, these guys are just talking about you the whole time." And he's gonna be like, "I just got drafted. What? Some podcast?"
Watch him just play 0 minutes next year.
Yeah,
No. Don't even
No.
speak that word.
Stop that.
Yeah, what is that? Come on. He's
The
cracking
last
2K.
thing I want to say, Jason, and we'll finish up this episode. Orlando City, I love the U22 initiative, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. But Orlando City, they signed a U22 initiative central midfielder in Cesar Araujo from Uruguay top division Montevideo. I'm familiar with Montevideo because Santi Rodriguez from NYCFC came from there. So they definitely do produce a lot of talent from Uruguay. But he was also recently called up to their preliminary roster for World Cup qualifying. I think it was a 50-man roster, so he probably won't make it. But that's pretty cool that they have this borderline Uruguayan national team member on their roster.
Cool.
He's 20 years old. So I just want to give a shout out. I think he could potentially be a piece for the future to watch out for. I don't see him starting in 2022, but maybe he's a key piece off the bench. And he looks like he's a super talented kid from everything I've watched and read about. So excited about Pareja signing Araujo from Uruguay. So anything else that you guys want to bring up about MLS, US soccer, anything before we close out the show? No witty remark, Jason. There you go. That's what I was waiting for. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 211 of the MLS Aces podcast. If you guys want to find out more about us, MLSAces.com. You can read all about our bios, blogs there. If you guys want to watch us instead of listening to us, if you're listening to the podcast right now and you're like, I really want to see these guys say Kipp Keller and not just listen to it, you can head over to you can head over to Twitch
behind them.
If you are Kipp Keller, how about that? If you are Kipp Keller and you want to watch this,
please,
you guys
DM us.
This guy's gonna think we're insane, and he's not wrong.
We are. So Kipp and the listeners, you guys can head over to our Twitch and to our YouTube. Just search MLS Aces, 2 separate words, and you guys can find us and watch us there. Thank you, Kipp. Thank you guys for watching and listening. We'll see you again next week.